Welcome back. Today I'm going to be going through all the steps to achieving high gloss. Here I have applied a search coat. You can see there's a massive scratch. Whilst priming, I would have built up this area. There's nothing better to fill the scratch than with primer. For the backs of these doors I'll be using 10% AC lacquer, colour matched by Symphony Coatings in Farrow & Ammonite. Always wear a spray suit, a mask, gloves and use a tack cloth to ensure you're getting the cleanest finish. Also wet the floor down, this stops you kicking up any dust. My booth is old school. Now I'm going to be covering the back so we don't get no overspray when we're doing the gloss. When putting the tape on the back of the door, you want to get it half in between the break. So when you're pulling the tape off at the end, you just feather with a 1200 disc and feather that lining where you've built up the spray. Use a nice sharp blade and cut off the excess tape. Do not scratch the edge of the door. There is no cheating when it comes to overspray, especially with AC or any 2K product. This really is crucial to be done with taping up the back. There's no way around it. I am now applying the first top coat on the front of the doors. This is in a 90% AC. The backs were sprayed in 10%. There's no need to go too heavy on this first coat because you will be sanding it back again. Once the doors have dried, I'll be sanding back the door with this pad attached to the Mercaceros. This will refine the scratches. Use a 500 or a 600 to sand back the previous coat. Make sure you sand it back flat. Now it's time to apply the second and final coat for the gloss. Here you can see that my spray movement is a bit slower. Still not smashing the paint on because it will take forever to dry otherwise. When mixing the paint, you want to use a slower thinners when doing gloss. This allows any air entrapment, solvent pop to come out of the paint, giving you an imperfection-free finish. If this has not been used, when you're flattening the door back before polishing, you might get these little craters and they won't go. So it's best to use the slower thinners. It is crucial for the paint to be hard when flattening the product back and burnishing. This is so you can refine the scratches. If the paint is soft, it won't work. These are the products I'll be using today to burnish the doors. We have the 1200 microstars that cut back the door reasonably quick. We have the Abralons. We'll be using these wet. We have the Polar Shine 10, cuts back the door quite quick. A nice microfiber cloth. The Merca pad, this will refine the scratches with the 1200. Machine polisher and the Ceros. This is if you feel brave and you have deep scratches. It's time to flatten the door back with the 1200. Get rid of any dust, orange peel, make sure the door is completely flat. Here I keep moving the pad away from the door. I am wiping the pad onto my top to get rid of any dust built up on the pad. You really don't want to be creating pigtails in the paintwork. This is what the door should look like after sanding it with the 1200. Nice and flat. Apply some water to the panel or the door. Then use the 2000 Abralon. This will refine the 1200 scratches. This process is actually crucial to gaining a really good finish and getting out them 1200 scratches. It can be very monotonous and boring doing this process, but it's extremely important that you spend your time doing this. I would have actually sped up this process. It really does take a bit of time. Quite an old pad I was using. Get a blade and gently place it into the middle whilst having the polisher on the fast setting. This will level it down, reducing the cone shape. When using the polisher, I like to have it on 1500 to 1800 RPM. You really want to be extremely careful when going up to the edge. This is why I'm going around the whole edge first, getting the hard bit out of the way. You want the pad to just be hanging over the edge a touch. You really don't want to be leaning into it too much. You will occasionally have to clean the pad with warm water. This reduces the amount of product build up on the pad. Occasionally check your work to make sure you're actually polishing the panel enough, making sure you're getting out any of the scratches from the previous discs. If you use a coarser grade polishing compound, the process will be much quicker, but there's always a risk of biting through the edge. If you bite through the edge, you will have to repaint the panel. Use a nice clean microfiber cloth. Make sure there's no bits on the cloth because you don't want to be scratching the panel that you've just spent ages polishing. Now I'm applying the finishing glaze with the black waffle pad. This will refine the scratches more and adds a protection coat to the door or the panel. This is actually quite a nice, easy process because you've actually done all the hard work now. This is just adding the extra sheen. Have a few different microfiber cloths to hand. Always use the more dry microfiber cloth to do the last pass of cleaning. The Merca polishing compound I used is a water-based solution. I used to use 3M, and this is solvent. And if you left any of the doors around and the compound actually hit onto it and left on, it would burn straight into the door. Always try and use water-based compounds. The Cia solution in the spray bottle I'm using really helps out getting the residue off the panel. And this is the finished product. The lights I have in my workshop are extremely unforgiving, so if the panel looks good here, it will look good anywhere. Now I'm unmasking the backs of the doors. Always leave the masking paper on whilst polishing, as the back is in 10%. You don't want to be getting any polish on the 10% and shining it up. It will cause horrible shiny marks and it looks really crap. I personally like to have 10% on the back with the gloss on the front. It's the best of both worlds. So to sum this all up, gloss is only as good as the effort that you put into it. I could have used quite a few more polishing compounds to refine this finish even more. When you have to do a whole project in high gloss, it is extremely monotonous and boring, but you've got to keep the standard up and make sure everything looks uniform. There's no doubt though, when you see the final result, it is satisfying. Thanks for watching. If you have any queries or questions, please comment below. Cheers.